Hi there, my name is Megan, and I'm here to share with you one of my favorite stories, Charlotte's Web by E.B. White. So Charlotte's Web is about this cute little pig on the front, and he was born on a farm and he was the runt, which means he was the smallest, and the farmer decided that he would kill him because he didn't think he was going to grow up and amount to anything. Well, luckily the farmer had a little girl named Fern that took a special liking to the pig, and she convinced her father that she wanted to raise the little pig. So her father agreed, and they formed a really special bond. I'm going to read you a little part that shows some of the things they did together. If she took her doll for a walk in the doll carrier, Wilbur followed along. Sometimes on these journeys, Wilbur would get tired and Fern would pick him up and put him in the carriage alongside the doll. He liked this, and if he was very tired, he would close his eyes and go to sleep under the doll's blanket. He looked cute when his eyes were closed because his lashes were so long. The doll would close her eyes too, and Fern would wheel the carriage very slowly and smoothly as to not wake her infants. So Fern treated him just like her little baby, and she had so much fun with him. But the time did come that he got too big and he started eating too much food, and he was costing the family money. So the father said that they needed to sell him. Well, luckily her uncle down the road decided that he was going to buy Wilbur, and Fern would still be able to visit him whenever she wanted to. Now, Fern visited him a lot, and they had a lot of fun together. But as school time came and Fern wasn't able to visit so much, he got really, really lonely. And he tried to make friends with the other animals, but they just weren't interested. So finally, he said that he had even lost the will to live. Like there was nothing left to live for him. He was just so sad. But then, one night, he made a friend. Darkness settled over everything. Soon there were only shadows and noises of the sheep chewing their cuds and occasionally the rattle of a cow chain up overhead. You can imagine Wilbur's surprise when, out of the darkness, came a small voice he had never heard before. It sounded rather thin but pleasant. "Do you want a friend, Wilbur?" it said. "I'll be a friend to you. I've watched you all day and I like you." Well, this little voice ended up being a spider, and her name was Charlotte. And Charlotte was kind of an unlikely friend for a pig. But they ended up having an incredible bond and having so much fun together and really just understanding each other like no one had really understood either of them before. Now, Wilbur was living a pretty happy life with Charlotte, but then one day he realized what the true plans for his life were at the Zuckerman farm. The goose had been listening to this conversation and chuckling to herself. "There's a lot of things Wilbur doesn't know about life," she said. "He's really a very innocent little pig. He doesn't even know what's going to happen to him around Christmas time. He has no idea that Mr. Zuckerman and Lurvy, that's the hired hand on the farm, are plotting to kill him." So of course this news made Wilbur so upset, and it made Charlotte upset too because he was her friend. And so Charlotte decided that she was going to make a plan to save his life. So she tells Wilbur that she's going to save his life, and Wilbur, of course, is a little bit skeptical about how a spider could save his life, but she promised him that she would. So she goes on to make this plan, and she thinks and thinks about what on earth she could do. And I'm going to read you a little part where they discover what her plan was. On a foggy morning, Charlotte's Web was truly a thing of beauty. This morning, each thin strand was decorated with dozens of tiny beads of water. The web glistened in the light and made a pattern of loveliness and mystery, like a delicate veil. Even Lurvy, who wasn't particularly interested in beauty, noticed the web when he came to the pig's breakfast. He noted how clearly it showed up, and he noted how big and carefully built it was. And when he took another look, he saw something that made him set his pail down. There in the center of the web, neatly woven in block letters, was a message, and it said, "Some pig." Now, everybody in town caught news that this spider had woven this web that said "some pig," and they thought that Wilbur must be some sort of miracle. So they came from all around to see this pig. And everybody was so excited, and the Zuckermans thought that Wilbur was wonderful, and they were enjoying the attention. Now, the other animals were a little bit worried that Wilbur would go a little too far with all this attention, but here's a part that shows that didn't happen. Some of Wilbur's friends in the barn worried for fear that all this attention would go to his head and make him stuck up, but it never did. Wilbur was modest, and fame did not spoil him. He still worried some about the future, and he could hardly believe that a mere spider would be able to save his life. Sometimes at night he would have a bad dream. He would dream that men were coming to get him with knives and guns, but that was only a dream. In the daytime, Wilbur usually felt happy and confident. No pig ever had truer friends, and he realized that friendship is one of the most satisfying things in the world. So Wilbur had begun to make more friends on the barnyard too, and he was beginning to get very well liked, and he had a lot of fame. But Charlotte and Wilbur both knew that one message in a web was not going to save him forever from becoming a Christmas dinner. So I'm going to leave it up to you to read the rest of the book and find out what incredible plan Charlotte had to be able to save Wilbur's life, and also a really neat surprise at the end that involves Charlotte and who she is, and kind of shows more of the character of Wilbur as well, and the wonderful bond that they had. Happy reading!